Article 299. Robbery in an inhabited house or public building or edifice devoted to worship. Any armed person who shall commit robbery in an inhabited house or public building or edifice devoted to religious worship shall be punished by reclusion temporal if the value of the property taken shall exceed 250 pesos, and if a. the malefactor shall enter the house or building in which the robbery is committed by any of the following means: 1. Through an opening not intended for entrance or egress. 2. By breaking any wall, roof, or floor, or breaking any door or window. 3. By using false keys, picklocks, or similar tools. 4. By using any fictitious name or pretending the exercise of public authority. Or B. The robbery may be committed under any of the following circumstances: 1. By breaking doors, wardrobes, chests, or any other kind of locked or sealed furniture or receptacle. 2. By taking such furniture or object away to be broken or forced open outside the place of the robbery. When the offenders do not carry arms and the value of the property taken exceeds 250 pesos, the penalty next lower in degree shall be imposed. The same rule shall be applied when the offenders are armed but the value of the property taken does not exceed 250 pesos. When said offenders do not carry arms and the value taken does not exceed 250 pesos, they shall suffer the penalty prescribed in the two next preceding paragraphs or in its minimum period. If the robbery be committed in one of the dependencies of an inhabited house, public building, or building dedicated to religious worship, the penalty next lower in degree than those prescribed in this article shall be imposed. Robbery with force upon things under Article 299 are two kinds. They are Subdivision A and Subdivision B. Robbery with force upon things under Subdivision A. Elements of robbery with force upon things under Subdivision A. 1. The offender entered an inhabited place or public building or edifice devoted to religious worship. 2. The entrance was effected by any of the following means: A. Through an opening not intended for entrance or egress. B. By breaking any wall, roof, or floor, or breaking any door or window. C. By using false keys, picklocks, or similar tools. Or D. By using any fictitious name or pretending the exercise of public authority. 3. That once inside the building, the offender took personal property belonging to another with intent to gain. The offender must enter the house or building in which the robbery is committed. If the offender merely inserted his hand through an opening in the wall or used a pole through the window into the clothes inside the room while the offender remained outside the house, the crime committed is theft and not robbery. There must be evidence or the facts must show that the accused entered the dwelling house or building by any of the means enumerated in Subdivision A of Article 299. In the case of U.S. versus Caliotas, it was held that in the absence of evidence to show how the offenders effected an entrance into the convent or they took personal property, there can be no conviction under Article 258 of the Penal Code, now Article 299 of the Revised Penal Code. The reason for this ruling is that one of the elements of robbery with force upon things under Article 299 states that the theft is effected by any of the means described in Subdivisions A of that article. Thus, where the manner of entrance into the house is not proven, the crime is theft and not robbery. This ruling applies where both the outside door and a window of the house are open, so that if it's possible that the accused might have passed through the door. But if, at the time of the discovery of the loss of personal property in the house, the outside door remained locked and not destroyed and a window was opened or broken, there is circumstantial evidence of unlawful entry sufficient to establish robbery with force upon things. In entering the building, the offender must have an intention to take personal property. The accused, by means of a bolo and screwdriver, began to open the door of the store, which also served as the dwelling of a Chinaman. After loosening one of the bars of the door, and becoming aware that the inmates therein had been awakened, the accused tried to escape, but were arrested by the policeman who had been watching them all the time. ruling it's not correct to convict the accused of attempted robbery. There's no evidence to show that the intention of the accused was to commit robbery, or that they knew that they would find money inside the store. There still remains a sufficient indication of the existence of an intention different from that of committing robbery. The crime committed is attempted trespass to dwelling under Article 280, Paragraph 2. The place entered must be a house or building. When the culprit enters the parked automobile through the window, the glass of which he broke, the crime is theft if personal property is taken therefrom, because automobile is not a house or building. What inhabited house includes? Inhabited house is any shelter, ship, or vessel constituting the dwelling of one or more persons, even though the inhabitants thereof are temporarily absent therefrom when the robbery is committed. What public building includes? Public building is every building owned by the government or belonging to a private person but used or rented by the government, although temporarily unoccupied by the same. The burnt edifice had not been inaugurated, but was to be used as a public school. The evidence shows that the said edifice had already been delivered by the contractor to the municipality of Biaga. What makes a building public is not its inauguration for the purpose intended, but the fact of the state or any of its agencies having the title thereto. Robbery in a public building. Where the defendant entered through the window of a public school building and took from the building 2 microscopes, he was guilty of robbery under the first paragraph of Article 299. But if the building belonged to a private school, the crime is robbery under 302, because it is either an uninhabited place or a building other than those mentioned in the first paragraph of Article 299. Robbery in an edifice devoted to religious worship, where the accused, by means of a small lever or nail, forced open the top of the poor box in the church, took the money therein contained, and appropriated it to himself. The crime committed was robbery with force upon things committed in an edifice devoted to religious worship under paragraph B, number 1 of Article 299. Any of the 4 means described in subdivision A of Article 299 must be resorted to by the offender to enter a house or building, not to get out. Note the opening sentence of the subdivision A, which states that the malefactors shall enter the house or building in which the robbery is committed by any of the following means. 1. Through an opening not intended for entrance or egress. The window or a hole through the wall already in existence is not intended for entrance or egress. If the culprit enters the building through such opening and once inside he takes personal property belonging to the offendant to the occupants therein, the crime committed is robbery. In the case of People versus Colcho, the offenders entered the house of the offended party by passing through the window of the closet and once inside took the watch and the money of the offended party. The offenders were convicted of robbery. But if the culprit had entered the house through an open door, the owner, not knowing that the culprit was inside, closed and locked the door from outside and left. The culprit, after taking personal property in the house, went out through the window. It is only theft and not robbery. The whole body of culprit must be inside the building to constitute entering. When the accused only introduced his hand through the broken glass of a show window, which he had broken in order to remove the watches therefrom, there is no robbery because no entrance of his body was made. 2 for subdivision A. So the first one mo itong through an opening not intended for entrance or egress under subdivision A. Second, under subdivision A is breaking of any wall, roof, or floor, or breaking any door or window. Note that the word breaking used in this means entering the building. The force used in this means must be actual, as distinguished from that in which the other means, which is only constructive force. The wall must be an outside wall. The wall broken must be an outside wall, not a wall between rooms in a room or building, because the breaking of the wall must be for the purpose of entering the house or building where the robbery is committed. If a room is occupied by a person and his separate dwelling, the breaking of its inside wall may give rise to robbery. The outside door must be broken. The accused pried the door out of the groove in which it ran and pushed it inwards. Once inside, he took possession of the property belonging to the occupants of the store. Ruling, the Spanish text of paragraph A 2 of Article 299 of the RPC mentions the words fractura de puerta or ventana clearly means the breaking of a door or window and imply more than the mere forcing open of a door or window. If the defendant had forced open a window and entered in that way, he would of course be guilty of robbery because of having entered the house through an opening not intended for entrance. But in the case at bar, the defendant entered by forcing the door by means of some instrument. It was neither alleged nor proved that the door was broken. The accused not having entered the door by any of the means specified in Article 299 of the RPC, the crime committed by him was theft. When the door itself was intact and the accused entered the store by removing the hinges or hooks to which the padlocks were attached, as well as the lock of the doorknob, the crime committed was simple theft. Where entrance is effected through a means intended for entrance or egress in order to qualify the crime as robbery, there must be an actual breaking or smashing in opening the door, removing the hook or the contraption to which the padlock is placed to lock the door, or using an article to open the door attached to the doorknob is certainly not the breaking contemplated by Articles 299 and 302 of the RPC. The door used in paragraph number 2 of subdivision A of Article 299 refers to an outside door. It is mentioned as one of the means of entering the house or building, and it can be no other than the main or back door, which must be opened to effect entrance by that means. Third, under subdivision A, the third means is by using false keys, picklocks, or similar tools. False keys are genuine keys stolen from the owner, or any keys other than those intended by the owner for the use of the lock, for use in the lock forcibly opened by the offender. Article 305. Picklocks or similar tools are those especially adopted to the commission of the crime of robbery. Article 304. The genuine key must be stolen and not taken by force or with intimidation from the owner. Thus were the offenders intended the inmates then outside the house, requiring them to produce the key to the main door. Once in possession thereof, they used it to open the door and enter the house, where they took personal property. The crime committed was robbery with intimidation of persons under paragraph 5 of Article 294, and not robbery with force upon things by using a false key. The false key or picklock must be used to enter the building. The use of a false key or picklock refers to the mode of entering the house or building, and not to the method of opening a trunk in the house, or to the method of opening the drawer of the cabinet. It is only theft when the false key is used to open a wardrobe or lock the receptacle or drawer inside door. 1. The use of a false key in opening a wardrobe from which the offender took personal property cannot give rise to robbery, as regards the wardrobes, chests, and any other kind of locked or sealed furniture or receptacle, Article 299b requires that the same be broken, not merely opened. 2. Opening the money drawer by using the stolen key is not robbery. 3. The false key or picklock was used to open an inside door, like the door of a room, and once inside the culprit took therefrom personal property of another, it is only theft. But if the room is a separate dwelling place of a person or a family, the use of false key to open its door may give rise to robbery. The use of a fictitious name or the act of pretending to exercise authority to enter the building. This takes place when the robbers presented themselves as detectives by displaying metal badges similar to those worn by regular police officers, and once inside, they took the money of the offended party. Note that in the case of People v. Urbano, the facts show that the accused were already inside the store of a Chinaman when they represented themselves as detectives. It seems that using the fictitious name or pretending the exercise of public authority must be the efficient cause of the opening of the offended party part of the door of his house to the accused. robbery with force upon things under subdivision B of Article 299.